You had said, and I was listening to you earlier in an interview, you said, it is important to have a good hard failure when you were young. Can you talk about what you meant by that?
Well, as a child, as an adolescent, everything you do, will impact not only yourself currently, but you as an adult.
Right.
So going back to that failure at the time, of course it didn't feel good, but it helped.
You learn from it?
And essentially, yes. And I know it is an old horse that's beat to death constantly, but it's only because it works.
But what's interesting is that you realize that at the time, instead of years later, because you beat the drum of, oh, I failed there. Okay, this never works for me. You beat the drum of the failure part, but missed the gift of, you tried that, didn't work. But it made you realize this, and this is working,
That depends on the person. So each person handles, failure and triumph differently. So it is merely the same thing, but however, they can choose to look different places. So.
Well, how hard was it for, you to kind of move past when you told your father you wanted to be an artist and he's like, no, you need to have a job? He didn't agree with you.
But he couldn't understand where I was coming from.
Right.
Because of how he was brought up, how he was taught, how he's raised, how he's worked. Things tend to go awry when they can't have the level of understanding that you do.
Right.
So it is some things that you understand that they are worried about you, and that you have to not only take to heart what they are saying, but you have to take it with a grain of salt and say, I love you and you love me enough to say this, but you do not have the understanding that I do. So I must press forward because it will work for me when it hasn't worked for you.
Right.
And that is applied to many different things. And the majority of it is, the older generation with the younger generation. Because different upbringings, different eras, different boundaries, different lives.
Right.
So you have to take it with a grain of salt and just basically be like, yes, I understand you have that experience. I appreciate it. You're looking out for me.
Mm-hmm.
I will take it. I will internalize it, file it, frame it, and move on forward.
So you...
And then when I have gotten past it and we're reminiscing, like, hey, do you remember the time, you told me not to? Well, there it is, framed over there. It was one of the best moments of my life because you gave me what I needed to move forward. You gave me that contrast.
So moving from the Midwest to Hollywood with your brother. Well, your brother was already in LA, I think, with Roy. I mean, he seemed to be a good counterpart. So you being the visionary, the creative, anchoring with someone who had the banking and the practicality experience.
Well, you can't be great at everything, so...
Which is good. Partnership.
So, exactly. Partnership does work out wonders.
With brothers, with family, and it's,
It has a higher percentage of working out with those who are more at ease with each other than not.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you're not a cross purpose, did it ever feel like you were all the way up here and he's like, no, calm down, we got to do it this way, or,
And then there's times where we're like, hey, what do you think of those? I did not see. It's like, of course you didn't see because you were looking down too much.
Right. So I thought it was interesting, the story of how Mickey Mouse showed up for you.
Indeed, wasn't something that was expected, but it was needed.
Well, you called him that he was the little personality assigned to the purpose of laughter. That he was actually a real entity, so to speak. A real person, so to speak. Not really a person, but a being who was not two-dimensional and solely there to fulfill a role. That it was more of a dynamic relationship. Can you talk about that?
Well, he may not have been tangible in the sense of that you can actually reach out and grab him because of the reality of things. but it was something that it was the energy of what was needed, and I felt that he had inherently come to me like, I want to go out there, I want to meet people, I want to make them laugh, I want to give them a sense of relief, give them the ability to break free.
Yeah, because that was a tough time period. What was it, the late 30s, and
Yes,
you're getting close to
depression.
the world, coming out of that, and the World War, coming in. So you were kind of like with that 5-year time frame where you were really expanding first animation studio, making the shorts, and then
New characters and controversy.
well, and plus they said about you that you were always experimenting, that you were never satisfied with the skill set that you had achieved, what the body of work you had.
I had that world created, but there was nothing in it. It was empty. It's like having a house with no furniture. I just needed to get it homely.
And expanding it from short little clips that are seen by a small audience, knowing that, okay, I gotta make a...
That's only a small fraction of their day in their lives.
Right.
So you can only glimpse a piece of their character, and they themselves live in that world. So you would want to naturally get more to know them more, to not only help them grow as a character, but also to help you.
When did you realize that your business needed to be have more than just you? Because, you started it and conceptualized Mickey Mouse and put him, into play, and then built upon that. But you could have been like other people who are protective of their creation and wanting to do all the work. But you went out and actively sought people.
All right. Shall we define this?
Yes.
Mickey Mouse was there to help you not only laugh, feel good about yourself, break free.
Mm-hmm.
How can you do that when I'm trying to keep your distance?
What do you mean by that?
It was something that was meant to be inclusive, not exclusive.
Right.
So how can it have the impact that it does when I'm trying to shield it, trying to have the gap between you and that world,
Right.
between those characters?
So, but
And even if I were to go that route, I knew that if it was still around after I passed, that it would happen regardless. So I'm like, let's cut out a couple, decades of this and just come on in.
and actively engaging people's talents.
Indeed.
And, that was pretty
And let me give
amazing.
Let me give you a short demonstration of what I would do.
Great.
Not exact to what I had said, but something I would most likely do. A difference between creativity and relativity, or should I say, practicality.
Right.
Something, because with practicality, that's how the majority of us are raised in today's generation and previous generations.
Right.
Is that the practicality of things?
Yes.
You were given, excuse me there, you were given the skill set to define something and its function, and you were told that if that particular object, person, thing, regardless, if could not fulfill that function, that it was broken.
Go on.
And with creativity, I am merely stating, yes, for that function, it can't work, so you state it's broken, but I wish to give it a new function.
That's why you experimented, because you didn't. Is it because you didn't believe in the failure was final?
Failure isn't final, no, it is merely one thing out of the many things of life. You see, the reason why you experiment is because you learn all of its dimensions, because
Right.
practicality is 2-dimension, creativity 3-dimension.
Right.
You see, if I were to give you a piece of, like an old computer,
Mm-hmm.
and it breaks, you would call it broken and throw it away, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But there are those who see past that two-dimensional, that practicality, and saying, yes, its current function doesn't work and it's broken, but I will give it a new function. Oh, let me see here. Oh, I know, it still powers up. Let me use it and make an instrument out of it. See?
Yeah.
I just gave it a new function, a new purpose, new personality, and expanded its dimensions of usefulness. And not only that, but it gets its own persona, its own form of life.
And not everybody can do that.
Not everyone can do that, but the thing is, you have to try to experiment a little. I'm trying to get you to not exactly break free, but to at least let you all know, you have the key to your cuffs. You don't have to chain yourself to the wall for all of eternity. The key is right here. So take it, unlock, spend an hour without the cuffs. If you feel you need that security, you can always come back and clamp them on. You can even take them out of the wall and just wear it as an accessory. It's okay if you still need that. You can just walk around, have the best of both worlds.